Yeah, I think the time we can start, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So really happy amidst of all the celebrations, people are slowly joining. Happy advance Deepavali wishes. I'm wholeheartedly welcoming our honorable chief guest today, Sudarshan Rao, sir. Sir, welcome, welcome to CEIR Best Practice Show. And so we will start with our usual prayer. I'm sorry, this. 1 second, ma'am. Let us see a small video about CEIR.
Center for Educational Initiatives and Research, CEIR Global Trust, has established a common platform for educators, students, principals, parents, and management so as to improve the overall school culture in India and abroad. Since its inception from 2009, CEIR has conducted many and extraordinary programs for the target groups right from K1 to K12. All CEIR programs are powered by Veda Handwriting Lab. Veda offers multiple programs for students and teachers. These programs are backed by scientific research. At Veda Handwriting Lab, we say good or bad handwriting is an existing myth. There is only trained or untrained handwriting. To make it possible, Veda Handwriting Lab has developed a training device called Manicure Memory Board for faster and long-lasting results among students and teachers. Handwriting Elite Kit and Life Kit are the flagship programs for Veda Handwriting Lab, accessible through our website www.vedahandwritingkit.com. Now also available on Amazon. We believe that we will be a force to reckon with the near future. We believe that the best is yet to be. The ultimate aim of the CEIR is to create a CEIR Center of Excellence by 2030, a perfect away from home to hone its members. Vande Guru.
So there is a small announcement. I'll not take more than 30 seconds. CAR the board of members have decided, 4 weeks, 4 different series. So every first week we will have, every first Saturday we will have topics about subject related with science, then the school solutions, the issues related with schools on second Saturday, and the third one is recording, Nipun Bharat related series. Of course, the fourth one is today's series, last Saturday, and our dearest, or most respected mentor and the principal of Shiksha School, Dr. Vasanthi Tyagarajan ma'am, is heading that project, and this is called Wisdom Series. Every last Saturday, the award winners, the national award winners will come to you and share their experience. And this has to be one of the most important, program of this entire series. I'm taking my, I'm not taking much time. I'm inviting our Vasanthi Tyagarajan ma'am, the mentor CEIR Global, to continue. Ma'am, please.
Thank you, sir. Vande Guru to one and all present here. Thank you, sir, for this very brilliant idea that generated with CEIR. So on this very auspicious pre-Diwali occasion, where CEIR is launching another innovative initiative of presentation and sharing of best practices, I heartily congratulate the leadership of CEIR, our head, Mr. Srisan Gopinath, who's passionately driving all of this. The person behind the ideation, Mrs. Prema, who passionately pursues excellence in all that she does, and all the honorable members of CEIR and office bearers. But let me first of all warmly welcome, on behalf of all of us, our most distinguished keynote speaker of the day, Shri Sudarshan Rao, well known as Regional Officer of Chennai, also as Director Academics, before moving on to his pet area of the Kendriya Vidyalayas. His contribution is immense and immeasurable. Above everything else, DTS Rao sir, as he's well known in our circles, is a very passionate teacher of English. He still continues to support the teaching community with excellent videos on English grammar. And I am one of those very fortunate recipients of these videos. I share them immediately with my school, and everyone benefits a lot out of that, sir. Once again, I welcome you, sir, on behalf of all of us, and thank you profusely for being here. And I request you to please deliver the keynote address and illuminate this virtual stage. Over to you, sir. Looking forward to your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and good evening, all of you here. And I really appreciate the work being done by CEIR Global, and Mrs. Deepa has said that what are the activities being undertaken by them. And today she just said that I have to kind of launch it or inaugurate this program on best practices in different institutions, and very proven leaders have been selected to give a presentation on the area of best practices. And I know them, some of them very personally, Ms. Manju and all, and even Ms. Vasanthi Tyagarajan and all. They are truly best practitioners because I have observed them very closely. And as an academician, I was told that I should give a brief speech on my perspective of these best practices. And this forum, actually, the CEIR or whatever collaborative efforts that we undertake to enhance our competence in teaching, as well as to spread the good things among the people, the stakeholders. It's not new to our culture. because in Rig Veda, we say, let noble thoughts come to us from all sides. We should keep ourselves available, open to all the great thoughts that is being practiced in anywhere. It can be from anywhere, it can come to us. That's how a system improves. And a closed system can never improve. We have to be open. So that way, CEIR, what it is doing is a great service for that. And next, even in our scriptures, if you see, this type of deliberations, this type of exchange of ideas and meeting of wise people has to take place. Because even once when Arjuna talks about what type of yoga he has to follow as a Kshatriya, maybe as a leader, the Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita says, Durena Haivaram Karma Buddhi Yoga Dhananjaya. That is, don't waste your time on inferior thoughts, but work with intellectual ability. That is Buddhi Yoga, that is intellectual ability. So I consider that this type of activities being conducted fits into this type of thought process. That is, instead of discussing, gossiping, or wasting time on inferior things, we have to work with our intellect. So that is good for the nation, that is good for the society. So my perspective of this best practices, normally whenever this phrase comes, best practices, in majority of the cases, you will find it will end up only with the academic aspects. That is about the result improvement or about teaching of mathematics or science or environmental studies and all. So it is restricted to the academic aspect. But school doesn't cater to only the academic side. We have to see the overall perspective. There is overall activities that a school is supposed to do. That is what for a school has been established. So anything can be best practices that augments the image and the reputation as well as the skill of the students inside. So in my perspective, I want to say, for example, the participatory approach in teaching, not a new concept. As far as Indian traditions and culture is concerned, it is not a new concept because it was said even in Mahabharata as well as in Bhagavatam also. That is in Mahabharata, in one of the parvas, if you see, it is said, Acharyat Padamadate, Sapadam Sishyasvamedaya, Padam Brahmacharyasya, Padam Kalakramena. Wonderful exposition about how a learning should take place. If you talk to a modern educationist, he will give a tongue-twisting phrase called multi-channel learning paradigm, something they say about it. But in Mahabharata, they must not have even heard of this type of complicated diction. But what does it say? Acharyat Padamadati. That is 1/4 of education is accrued by teaching. Padam Sishyasvamedaya. Self-learning. Another 1/4 by self-learning. Padam Brahmacharyasya. Another 1/4 by peer group learning, peer learning. And Sapadam, that is experiential learning. That is the last 1/4. That is experiential learning. Kalakramena, that is experiential learning. So if we take how learning accrues, the role of the teacher, 1/4, then self-learning, peer group learning, and experiential learning. If we take, what a beautiful exposition of how learning takes place among the children or in the school or in a Gurukula. So when we look at it, there are many schools. Schools must be doing great things. Each school have their own USP and they must have taken up certain best practices. So when we jet ourselves out of this academic aspect and come to, there are areas, that's what I expect and you will be doing it. What are the best practices that directly augments the capacity of your people and reaches the society? That is because of your best practices that this is the change that has happened. Because as we are all change agents, this change has happened. So what are the scope? what are the areas that we can think of it? Where can we do mini researches? Where can we do some action research and see that whether what germinated from our mind as a thought, which will be coming out as a best practice and making the children to shine. So academics is already there. Then you have the teaching methodology, that can be one area. Then energy conservation. This is another important area, because this also can be a best practice. That is, some schools I find that very concrete actions have been taken to see that how energy can be conserved, how electricity can be, use of electricity can be minimized, and how water can be preserved. And this is also best practice, because we are not primarily transmitters of knowledge. The schools are not just a lighthouse or a transmitter of knowledge. It has to do so many other things which are good for the society. Then you have best environmental friendly, that green school concept. That also can be, somebody must have done a great job in that. That can be shared so that others get it. And on, I have come across some organizations doing a great job on value education. That is what was much talked about, but it has not penetrated into the system properly. So even Ramakrishna missions, that Awakened Citizen program, or SSUN's Panchakosha Vidya, that is character building, and that one, like that. Even Bhavan's package on value education. So instead of only preaching theories, we have to see that what practically what we can do. Then if you are successful in that, and it really contributes to the growth of the students and the institution and the society, that becomes a best practice, because theoretical input alone cannot help us. That is why you all have been here today to listen, because all of you are, I call all of you as best practitioners in one way or the other. You must be doing something. And some people who have been proven and who have been in the field for a very long time may have got an opportunity to share their thoughts with you today. So this theory and practice conflict, it is very, very important to understand. Because one child psychologist, she says, before my marriage, I knew 6 theories of rearing up children. Now I have 6 children and no theories, meaning that theories will not work. We have to see practically what is to be done and how it can be done. So when we enter into the best practices, we can't say 1,000 things. This can be done, that can be done and all. But in a real life situation and in a school situation, unless we plan it and unless we think of it and unless we see what's the problem in front of us and how are we going to solve it and prove it that it can be solved in this way, then it becomes a best practice. So then how to enhance the reading skill of the children? It is another depleting skill. That is, reading skill has almost vanished. So if a school takes up that purposefully, how I can improve the reading skill of the children and see that at the end of a considerable period of time in my school, the children have got the habit of reading or developed an interest of reading something other than the textual material, because that helps them. So that can be an area. Then capacity building for the teachers. Maybe you may be having a strong teacher training activity going on in your school. In that also, there are so many other branches that one can take up and see how that is inside a teacher training can be done effectively by finding out what are the problems in front of us and what are the deficiencies that our people have and how to compensate it. So teacher training ourselves, that is not by making somebody else to come. We can ourselves do it. And then you have sports activities. There also best practices can come. When we see some schools do very concrete activities to see that in some listed sports, they are the unseated monarchs, you can say that they cannot be defeated by somebody. Or fitness programs, the national, what is the Prime Minister's program, Fit India program, that somebody takes up seriously and does something which is scientifically done and proven, then that also becomes a best practice. Then about the discipline issues, This can also be an area of action research. Then communicative competence, because this is another area, that weak area, the children communication and classroom communication. That can be another area. That is, instead of blaming children that they are unable to speak in a particular language or campus language, at least teachers can start with classroom language list. That is, normally what do we speak in the class? At least that should be familiar to the children. Starting with that, you expand it and expand it. So communicative competence activities. Then leadership activities, creating children as future leaders. A school may be doing certain things. That can be another area of area that you can take up as to prove that it is a best practice that an institution is doing. About co-curricular activities. Then testing and evaluation. When you come out of the traditional way of testing, or when you do not go routinistic, and you bring in a kind of innovation in the testing and evaluation aspects in your school, and you prove it that it is doing very well, then that can be spread with others. So this is another area. Then about in experiential learning, the science activities, the practicals, etc. So that the list is endless. I'm not exhausting everything. So what I mean to say, whatever is connected to the school system, anything, it can be treating of the parents, or how you are meeting or dealing with the aggressive parents, that can also be shared, because all these are issues, problems. So best thing is that we have to come out with identification of some areas, that this is the area that I want to give priority first. From there, you can move on to different areas. So all of you must be doing it. So I don't consider that I'm embodiment of all knowledge, and so that I am telling, because I do not know whether I am relevant today also, because all of a sudden Deepa called me and said that, sir, you have to speak on this best practices. This is a program that we have today. As a person who is observing school system from outside, so this is how I felt, that there is no end for this list, and nothing is inferior or simple. If some school does that, which others think it is very simple, that cannot be accepted, because for that particular school in that particular system and area, that may be a big issue. So that every simple thing, innocuous thing, simple thing, can also become a point for experiment in the school system, because there will be in many places, many people may be facing that problem. So that is what I want to tell, that any simple thing to complex thing can be taken up, and it must be shared. That is how we grow. We grow by accepting others' ideas, listening to them, as well as sharing the thoughts in a very collaborative way. That's how learning takes place, because nobody can be a complete embodiment of all knowledge under the sun. So as it is said in Viduraniti, each one of you are all school leaders. That is, children look at you, and their eyes are so aspirational, and they see you as a person who will be changing them. So each one of you should come out with the best things. And when we listen to the others, then it becomes easy for us to follow it, because already it has been done and experimented with. So problems we know, in what way we can tackle it. So there is someone who can handhold you and take you forward. So wonderful group it is. I am really proud of you all, because it's a very good initiative that you have done, and all great people are there. That is another thing, because normally educationists should not have ego, first of all, because ego blocks learning. Ego is the first blockade for the learning. So I am very happy that though your accomplishments are great here, many of you I know personally, in spite of that, you all have come under one umbrella, and the younger generation will be looking at the people who have already proven it. So I really pray God today that it should grow further, and you all should be hale and healthy and happy to see that the system improves. So ultimately, we have to contribute to the growth of the system as a teacher. I always tell, for a teacher, there is no end. A teacher never dies, because till the last breath, one can remain a teacher. That is, in Viduraniti, an episode comes. That is, it's actually in Mahabharata. I will end with this small anecdote. A kingdom, the queen mother is called Vidula, and she has a very young boy, son, Sanjaya. His father is not there. The enemy king comes to attack the kingdom, and mother sends the young boy who has never seen a battle. He says, "You go and fight." And he goes to the battleground and unable to just fight with the fellow. That means he's a very big army he has got, and he's a very seasoned warrior. So he comes back, and the queen mother closes the gate of the fort. She closes it, and from the rampart of the fort, she says, "Go back and fight. Muhurtam jwalitam shreyo natu dhumaitam chiram." That means flame forth for an instant rather than smoke for ages. This is a beautiful philosophy. That is, you all have to flame forth for an instant. You should be like a lamp on the mountain, which will be attracting people, which will be giving wisdom to the people, instead of smoking for ages. And whatever we know, we are doing good. Whatever is our contribution, it should definitely go to others, because nothing is ours. God has given you a power and intellect that you could bring it out, but it is not yours. It has to reach the society. That is what the beauty of knowledge. Knowledge should not be kept like a fixed deposit. No, it should be given. So thank you very much for involving me in this today's program. And as Mrs. Deepa said, I'll definitely be a part of it. Whenever you feel I'm useful and relevant, I ensure that I'll be definitely happy to be part of your endeavor. Thank you. Thank you all, and God bless all of you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for those pearls of wisdom, as I call them. They are pearls of wisdom that we have received from you, and for throwing so much of light on actually what best practices mean, going beyond our teaching area, ranging from sports to values to professional development, language improvement, communicative competence, students as leaders. The list is indeed endless. So we have to explore that list. Gives us a lot of scope for that. And I'm sure we will definitely have a lot of people over the months coming up, competing for space here and telling Srisan Gopinath sir that I need an opportunity to present my school practices. That's going to happen. Your words are very strong and powerful. Your blessings are a boon to all of us, Mr. Sudarshan Rao, and we're looking forward to DTS Rao being with us in CEIR in the days to come, sir, because your wisdom as well as your...
Vasanthi Madam, sir, has agreed to be the part of CEIR.
Very good. That's it. So we are welcoming him right now, and he's being inducted right away because he should be there. Such a boon and a blessing for us. Thank you, sir. Once again, on behalf of all of us over here. Thanks, sir.
Thank you very much. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So, with the permission of the chair, I would move on to the next most important part after this wonderful start off to the program. A very warm welcome to the three eminent personalities who have graced the webinar today, all members of CEIR, the president and the office bearers. Today, we begin this learning journey with three illustrious panelists, each one renowned and leaders who walk the talk. So we have with us Dr. Amita Mullah Watal, we have with us Sri A.P. Sharma and Mrs. Manju Balasubramaniam. We would first like to begin this journey with Dr. Amita. I've known her very personally, and such a pleasure, Amita, to welcome you here in this forum. Thank you so much for being here. Mrs. Amita is the chairperson and executive director, Education, Innovation and Training at the DLF Foundation Schools and Scholarship Program, former principal of Springdale School, Pusa Road and Kirtinagar, Delhi. the former manager of Springdale School, Jaipur, the founder, principal, executive member of Springdale School, Dubai, chairperson of Global Inclusive Education Network, National Advisory Committee, Inclusive Education, constituted by the Center for Disability Study and Action, Tata Institute, Mumbai, Vice President, Action Committee for Unaided Recognized Private Schools, former chairperson of National Progressive Schools Conference. The list is indeed endless, and she's worked in the sphere of education, creative arts, special needs, and it points to the eminence and contribution of this dynamic personality, Dr. Amita, a recipient of the prestigious National Award to Teachers from the then President of India, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, and a lot of other international awards to her credit. Such a pleasure to welcome you, Dr. Amita. Personally, a warm welcome to you. Thank you so much for accepting to be here. Over to you now, Amita. The stage is all yours. We're looking forward. Thank you.
Audible to everybody?
Yes.
No, I hope I'm audible.
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Thank you. Firstly, I cannot thank you enough, Vasanti, my dear friend, who has given me such a fantastic opportunity to be here and to address so many wonderful human beings and teachers and educators. I feel deeply humbled by the fact that you've invited me. And Vasanti, you are a person who so many people look up to. You're a mentor to so many teachers, principals. You yourself are an icon in the field of learning. Thank you very much, Vasanti, for calling me.
I'm humbled.
And when I was listening to Dr. Rao's words, I thought, what a fantastic person and just the apt human being who can sort of spearhead what is happening, because his thoughts were extremely wise. They were very practical. They were filled with so much of depth at every sentence that he spoke. And I'm deeply grateful to you that because of you, I'm able to hear so many wonderful people and listen to Dr. Rao. Thank you so much, Dr. Rao, for your words. I'm deeply, deeply touched by them. I'd just like to start off by saying that firstly, I have a bit of a bad connection. So Vasanti, if suddenly I go off, I will try to come back.
Sure.
But I hope I'm audible, and that's the main thing. And
Absolutely.
so I've requested Priya to just, to just move the presentations, because it becomes a little problematic. If something goes off, then, you'll get stuck. At least then you can run them through my presentation, Santi, in case something happens, because you have so much of wisdom that you don't really need me. You can run it even without me if you have the presentation. So thanks a lot for that. And I would like to share with you that please share my presentation with everybody. You can send it to them, because I think learning is for sharing. And it's so important that, people have something in their hands. Absolutely. And then they can do whatever they want with it in whatever way they feel that they want to do it. Otherwise, just a talk and a presentation, you can't click pictures. So please send it to them in complete totality. So thank you for that. I'd like to just start off by saying that, I think we are like watchmen. We are like watchmen because we hold a lamp, teachers, educators. But what happens is that when you hold the lamp out, the light falls outside. So it's very important to turn the lamp towards your own face, because ultimately true innovation starts from within. Ultimately, it's the lamp that we have to light within. Innovation happens at two levels. One is, of course, at scalability, when you look at somebody else's work, which is very good, and then you sort of replicate it into your life or into your classrooms and transactions. But I think the most important thing is, why shouldn't we be the pioneers of the innovations or the best practices ourselves, so that we become the leading lights of that innovation? And I think every day should be a day of best practice. And it's so important, because the more we sort of turn the light within, the more we will have time for reflection, and the more we will have time thinking, how can I better the life? Next, when I look at sort of best practices, I look at several things. I look at the fact that best practices can be done at 3 or 4 levels. A very important level of best practice is the kind of curriculum you follow. I think the first important thing is, if we have the freedom, we must look at the curriculum and completely transform it. So one of the best practices a school can have is transforming and creating a different curriculum for oneself, at least from nursery to 8th, and then maybe send out that curriculum. And I think when we keep talking about 21st century skilling, I think it's important that we do networking of how do we bring those skills into that curriculum. And it's essential that we do it. So for me, the most important best practice that a school can have, or a teacher can have, say from foundational years or to pre-primary years or to primary years and to middle years, is the curriculum we create. And the CBSE does not intervene in this. The CBSE doesn't say you have to go this way or that way. So I think we should not keep looking at the CBSE and asking them, what should we do? Why should we give so much of power in the hand? It is not necessarily uniform, but caters to the kind of children who come in. The kind of needs may be different to mine. Regionally, there may be different needs. So I think it's very essential we look at the way we look at the curriculum. I think, Vasanti, my voice is breaking. Can you hear me?
Now it is fine, ma'am. I think,
right.
Yeah.
I can hear you. No
right.
issue.
Can I have the next screen, please? The next screen. So I would like to go on to talk about the fact is, does your classroom, now this is the best practice, does your classroom have a 4D framework for the whole child? You have length, breadth, and depth, but do you have instinct? Do you have instinctive classrooms? Because with instinctive classrooms, there is a sensitivity, observation, awareness comes in altogether. So sensitivity towards the way children learn, awareness of what is happening around you, and observation. So that is your 4th dimension. I'm sure there are trillions of other dimensions which we've not explored because there's a certain cosmic consciousness within our lives. But I think we must look at the instinctive classroom. And I think, as Dr. Rao said, let's not just keep looking at academics. You will notice that in this whole circle of knowledge, skills, character, and meta-learning, I haven't brought in content. Because to me, content will happen with or without you. Content will happen in a coaching center. Content can happen anywhere. It's how you deal with that content. It's how you work the child's mind through their content instinctively. And so when we talk about knowledge, what kind of knowledge are you bringing into your classroom? Is it basic 2+2 knowledge, or is it a knowledge that goes beyond that? And so when you're looking at creative and collaborative and critical thinking, which is something that I think Vasanti will agree that we've been saying this blue in the face for the last 30 years, I think it's very important that this kind of thing must be sort of dovetailed into whatever we do. And with it, we have to bring in a certain development of mindfulness, curiosity, resilience, ethics, and leadership. So I think these aspects, are they coming into the classroom that you are dealing with? Is it coming into the geography that you teach? Are you talking about, for example, if a child is, are you talking about production of rice? Then are you telling your child along with it that be careful of that farmer who stands in 3 feet of water with leeches on his feet just to get that ride after a couple of days because there is no distribution. So the ethics of that, the mindfulness of that. So stop wasting food, because environment is a very important aspect of that. So every time that we teach, for example, if you're teaching heat, light, and electricity in physics, are we talking about the fact that there is a coal miner in Dhanbad who has gone down into the mine, whose lungs are black and who will be dead by the age of 32, and there will be a widow who the great corporations will not support? Is your best practice? Your best practice is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The fact is that forget about the whole world being your family. Think about the fact that the people who serve you, are you looking at them as your family? The people who supply things to you, are you looking at them as your family? Because you're part of that food chain that is going on. So let's not lose ourselves in technology. This is what worries me. When we lose ourselves in technology, we lose a certain level of our humanity. We lose a certain level of our humaneness. And so I beseech you as educators that more and more with COVID and other issues and hybrid classrooms, let's not lose ourselves and just become activity ridden and not reflection ridden. Reflection is very, very important. So please look at these aspects of your classroom and say, is my class a meta learning place? We talk about cognition, we talk about metacognition. So are we really, my child, is he learning to learn? Is he really having a growth mindset? Does he grow or does he have a fixed mindset? I think these aspects, and then of course, dovetail them to the kind of pedagogies that Dr. Rao was talking about. What are the kind of pedagogies you're using in your classroom? Do you use only one pedagogy? Think about it. Say, okay, I'm a teacher, I can't do 5, it's going to be problematic. Let me at least use 3 pedagogies. A little one's for a different cluster of children, another one for a different cluster of children, and another one for a different cluster of children. So can I combine my classroom with story-based and experiential? Of course you can. I started off with this story, didn't I? I started off with the watchman. And so then we're talking about experiential learning when I'm talking about what happens to the farmer. So can we use these aspects of pedagogy when we do our classrooms and do our best practices? The next slide, please. And so when we look at the implementation of in our schools, I think every single school should have in the curricula and the pedagogical framework. So what we say is research, evaluation, and documentation. Let me tell you, my friends, we as a country are very poor in documentation. We as a school are very poor in documentation. We always run to documentation when there is an inspection. That is a best practice. To keep your documents in place, and you won't have the headache of having unnecessary people inspecting you and getting onto your case. So I think documentation, research, evaluation, and documentation of all practices within your school, your science labs, your Atal labs, your offices, keep and do it one by one so that anybody walks it at any time and you don't have to rush around saying, where is that file? Where is the other file? I know this is a very practical thing I'm telling you, but honestly, keep your documentation in space and strengthen the capacities of your institution. This is also a very strong. What is the institutional capacity? I may have a particular capacity. Mine may be in terms of community development. Am I strengthening that? How am I bringing that into the forefront? How do you showcase your school? Showcasing your school without it copying somebody else is extremely important. How does people look at your school? And so how do you use these? How do you converge programs and policies in your school? How does as Dr. Rao said, what does the parent community, do you sensitize the parent community? That is also an integral part of your best practice. Because if your parent is your partner, it's amazing. The teacher training seminars and conferences and service workshops that you create in your school systems. Each one of this is a best practice in implementing whatever you do in your school systems. So ready systems, ready schools, ready families, ready teachers, and then of course, ready children. Now this takes time, but it is interesting. Please carry on. So when you look at a creative framework, I've just told you about it. It creates, if you do this and you bring in these practices, you bring in a sense of belonging, you bring in a very meaningful connection with the real world that I told you about. The child becomes a problem solver because the child thinks that, okay, yeah, this is happening to these people around me. How do I look out? How everything that I learn, can I apply it to real life? Everything that you teach, for example, if you're teaching mathematics, is your child able to plot a graph of rainfall and tell you how the rainfall panned out? If you're teaching mathematics, can the child record the way that traffic moves in your system and how to sort of better the traffic systems in your area because there is so much of clogging of traffic? Are you only teaching mathematics as mathematics? Is every aspect of mathematics connected? Every algebra, every theorem connected to how the child can better life outside himself? That is an essential best practice. I think it is very important that we have to look at it. So let's talk about this. And I think everybody has gone blue in the face talking about design thinking. But I think the best ever practice in a school is to make it a school of design. It is to make a school of design, to empathize, to define, to ideate, to prototype. And it's very simple. I mean, why, if you're doing World War and you talk about concepts of, for example, what happened in 1919 when the Treaty of Versailles was signed after the First World War. So instead of asking them, when was the treaty signed? You say, if you had to draft the treaty, what kind of treaty would you have given? And perhaps our children would have drafted a treaty that would have not created the monster called Hitler. See? Because he felt absolutely sort of ripped off by the Treaty of Versailles, and the Germans lost their self-esteem completely. So every kind of question, I think in design thinking, we have to look at the iterative rather than the linear. How does it move forward, backward, ahead? How does the way that you look at your classroom system, how do you ideate a system in your class? And then a very important aspect of a best practice is share different types of rubrics in assessment. Just don't bore yourself and bore the children with one kind of rubric. Allow lots of rubrics so that you'll be able to get to know whether my child has spatial understanding, whether he has a verbal understanding, whether he has a linear understanding, and so on and so forth. So I don't want to get deeply into this, but please create design thinking as an important aspect of the way you teach in schools. And I will tell you for the next slide that is coming on. Now, for example, if you want to implement it, a teacher basically guides students through specific themes. The themes in the beginning can be human rights, can be water, can be equity, can be immigration. We had so many migrations during the COVID. You can simply, move through that and see, how do I look at the way migration happened? Where did people move? How did they lose themselves? And this creates a sociological understanding, a historical understanding. It creates a geographical understanding. It creates a mathematical understanding. Food, it creates distribution. So create a subject and then work around it. So if you look at an apple and you just take an apple, now an apple is an apple phone, at the same time is just a fruit. And yet, if you just take the fruit, from the fruit emits production, distribution, fertility of land, the place where the apple was. Why are apples green and red? Okay, what other things can apple be created into? So apple becomes a whole world. It becomes an export. It becomes a study. And when it becomes a study, the world gets involved in the study. And that's how, when we teach in our classes, we actually, at least till grade 8, because right now we still have the Damocles sword hanging on our heads of the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th NCERT. But till 8th, let's do this. Let's create their digital portfolios with their help. Let's create different aspects of learning, whether it's an AI-based project or whether it's relocating of refugees, as I said. So let's capture data and do these interesting things in the area of design. I think it's extremely important that we do it. And then, of course, the big shift. The big shift is what you have to have. A classroom, as Dr. Rao said, is it based on values, competencies, skills, and learner profile? Does it have a sense of ownership? What are the kind of curriculum enablers that you've brought into your classroom? What are the multiple pedagogies that you've used in your classroom? What kind of assessment systems have you used? And are you ensuring that children are not left behind? Are you having inclusion at all levels? And are families being involved at every stage? We seem to have an allergy, unfortunately, and we are worried about, the parent may be aggressive, but no, the best person, the best friend that we have in our school is our parent. The parent, because the parent, you and I are all on the same page, because for us, what lies at the heart is our child. So if we all think the same, the school will be a very happy place. So please do not distance your parents from you. Keep them involved very closely. Make that a best practice in your school. Involve them in so many things that you can, in cluster classrooms, in breakout classrooms, if you're doing hybrid learning. And if not, then if you're doing on-to-on, then of course there is so much you can do. And I think so many principals also do it and teachers do it, bring parents into the classroom. I think this is extremely essential because these are aspects of how we look at best practices. The next one, please. And the next slide, please. I think you have to look at assessment. This is a very important part of best practice, because we constantly get these circulars, and we're always feeling there was so much of stress when 10th and 12th was being assessed. I think Vasanti will agree with me. Teachers had to have workshops done. They were stressed out. Till the end, it was becoming so difficult. In a recent meeting, I was saying to them that, why are we complicating things so much? It's so important, that we must have things where the assessment is sort of defined. It identifies the learning outcomes throughout the year. It's at all stages, at all abilities, and whether it's the middle year or the year end formative or such. And I think it's very important to select appropriate assessment tools and measures and assess the learning, outcomes. The learning outcome has to be the first thing that we can think of, because if you have a good learning outcome, you will understand what is a learner profile. What kind of a child should be moving out of class 2 into class 3? What kind of habits should he have? What kind of skills and competencies should the child have? And so on and on. There's so much that you can do in this area. And I think just don't leave the assessment, analyze it, and have a meaningful transition with people when the child moves on. Analyze it, adjust it, improve it, talk about it. It shouldn't be that classes, a child is moved from 3 to 4 and that's over. No, I think the 4th standard teachers and 3rd standard teachers should sit together and say, how can I better this child who's come up to the 4th? How can I better the child who's come up to the 8th? Because he had these lacunas in his classes. The next one, please. And I think the most important thing here again is, how do we bring in metacognition through self-assessment, through peer assessment, through teacher assessment, through parent assessment? When I talk about parent assessment, I'm not saying you should assess parents, but how do parents assess their children? How do they assess their children? So reasoning, metacognition, collaboration, and communication. Your report card should have these kind of aspects of assessment and learning, So I can choose and use different questioning techniques to focus or expand my thinking. I'm able to generate ideas, possibilities, and actions based on events. So, you start climbing the ladder, utilizing these things. What do I use? And if I'm cleared, then I'm up to reasoning. Then I'm up to metacognition. I can collaborate, and finally I can communicate. Because in life, there's no point of you studying as many books if you can't get your matter across. So collaboration is extremely important. The next slide, please. And so finally, let us re-look at our report cards, because the day of reports is extremely violent. I find a report card a very violent tool that we utilize to bring fear into the lives of children and parents. I can never forget when we walk up the stairs, especially in the senior school, a child is dragging his feet, the parent is looking sometimes distressed, sometimes angry, sometimes embarrassed. So to me, I've always felt that, if Gandhi was there, he would have hated the idea of a report card, because it is a very aggressive instrument. And so your report card should have aspects of it should be equitable, it should be inclusive, joyful, and it should have a diverse knowledge of the child. Okay, if not this, then what? And so I think we have to look at the interdisciplinary aspects of the child, the disciplinary, the epistemic. And when I talk about the epistemic, it is something which is related to knowledge. How does a child learn cognitively? And the procedural, of course, that the whole idea of processing of certain skills. So the rest is in front of you. I don't want to go on and on about it because there are other speakers. So attitudes and values are very important, as mentioned by Dr. Rao. Environment is extremely important, mental well-being. So when you are looking at a best practice, what aspect are you, if you're looking at the environment, then the values automatically come in. Your societal understanding comes in. You have a feeling of well-being. You develop certain principles and beliefs in life, So anything, let me tell you, my friends, that anything that you pick up from here automatically dovetails into everything that you see around you. So you cannot and you will never work in compartments if you look at a really good best practice, because it will touch all aspects of life. So look at your report card, rework your report card, think about your report card, and work towards it. So I want to end this session. And Vasanti, I hope I haven't short my time. I just want to end it now. So I just want to end it by saying that, so many things you've seen. There's so much that I could have spoken about on each slide, but but that's another story. But I'm sure that as educators, as teachers, there's so much that you have understood. And I've always believed that, and this is a beautiful picture I've always kept in my office about the child leading Gandhi. You know, it's a brilliant picture. So think about it. Think about it. And I want to end with a story that you must have always heard, but I still like to repeat it, that there was this great principal like Vasanti who was standing there, and Gandhi came into the ashram, and he came and he was visiting the ashram near Sabarmati, and he said, and this principal said, "Sir, Bapu, this is my maths teacher. She teaches English, she teaches maths, she teaches physics." And Bapu finally said, "Who teaches children?" But of course, it would never happen to Vasanti, because Vasanti has always taught children. So I just want to end by saying that, Vasanti, I just gave an overview. I hope, I didn't give any particular one, because I know that there are some very fine people who are speaking after me, Manju and the others, who are really brilliant at identifying best practices. But in my journey of 45 years, I have really felt that these aspects, if they can be taken in, then every practice in a school becomes a best practice. Thank you very much, Vasanti, for calling me. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Amita. I've always known you as that person from the day we met at Ahmedabad, as that person who speaks from the heart. And you're still the same today, from the heart. I could see that. And this is a wisdom series. The right person to flag it off, I think, is you, Amita. It's not the alphabetical order, it is Amita. You've spoken from the heart. So many things I've tried to jot down to kind of summarize, but I would take much more time than you did if I were to do that. But I want to look at wonderful things when you spoke about the 4D framework and the instinctive classroom. These are words which need careful thought, because a classroom can be a classroom, but when it's instinctive, it's a totally different complexion over there. And when you talk about the rice farmer, we're looking at the whole. When we talk about ourselves, we're not fragments, right? We're all holistic people. We are built as a whole. So we can't cull out one part and handle it. That's what you try to push so hard. The rice farmer was not simply geography. It was all about the values. Our teachers looking at beyond that text. That's what you're trying to make that kind of a clarion call. And the reflection, I also am a very strong practitioner of reflection, because reflection tells you the truth, Amita. Nobody else can tell you the truth, but reflection, self-reflection can. And that red area that you spoke, we are in the red there, which is research, evaluation, and documentation. Red.
Truly.
And I think to summarize, your big question that you were trying to project was, is this child future ready? What are we doing with our children? 20 years from now, the little baby who's now in our kindergarten, what's that world of work when this child goes out after 14 years in the school? The whole world would have changed by then. Are we making our children future ready? It's okay to have curriculum, like you said, Amita, but even in that 9, 10, 11, 12, I've seen you working with your school, and most of us do that. You can do a lot even in that examination-based area. We can. And therefore, all it needs in all of us is that big mental shift. And I want to thank you. And I also want to tell you that you're not going to go away with this. You're going to come back frequently to our wisdom series by taking each one of those areas as a nutshell and elaborating for us. We would need that kind of a support from you. Thank you so much.
And
Highly insightful.
Vasanti, please share the presentation with everybody.
Yes, we will be doing that. I request Srisan sir to say a few words before we move on. Thank you once again, dear Amita. Enjoyed it.
Your AP.
Hi, AP.
Vasanti ma'am, can I come in for 10 seconds with your permission?
You must, no permissions to speak here.
Yeah, no, just when we conceptualize the entire series, ma'am, if you notice, you represent the earth. If you see behind what is happening, okay. When you introduce Madam Amita ma'am, it's water, the second element. Now, if you are introducing Sharma sir, it's a space element.
Absolutely.
So we have done like that.
Amita ma'am is my elder sister. She is my Didi in learning.
She
There
is
you are.
AP is one of the most positive human beings I've met and extremely
Awesome.
bright. Extremely. Thank you, AP.
He is
Thank you.
also our Solar director, ma'am.
Oh, but he's a fantastic human being.
Sir, Amita is
A
also
great
going to be with
educator.
us, sir. We are going to open Amita and she's going to be with us for a long time, sir.
Thanks.
Other future sessions, Amita has a commitment to come back to us. Please,
Absolutely.
Amita, you must.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, Srisan sir, with your permission, can we move on to the
Please,
next
ma'am. Yes,
speaker?
ma'am. Please, ma'am.
Yes, sir. We have started well. It's wonderful. May I now move on to the next distinguished panelist here, Sri A.P. Sharma, well known across educational circles, close to many of us who wish to learn. Is being a science graduate with a passion for science, but then with economics and 30 years of learning as a leader, as an academician, a CBSE National Awardee from the President of India, 2012, Exemplary Leadership Award from Sri Pranab Mukherjee in 2018, many more awards and laurels, being an expert in design thinking, what Amita spoke about now, and for spreading awareness in latest pedagogies in education. And we know that the Atal labs, the tinkering labs we all have, they stem from the new design thinking, and Sir has been a member of Niti Aayog's committee for selecting those activities for innovation labs under the Atal Tinkering Lab. We're very honored by your presence, sir, and thank you so much for giving us your precious time. I don't want to hold up the audience, and you, please go ahead, sir. The stage is all yours. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Vasanthi ma'am. You have made a very beautiful bridge between two people, and you are doing an amazing work. And I really feel honored speaking with you and you being the moderator. So my style is a little bit different. My style is that I involve all the listeners also. So sometimes you being the moderator, you will be the one person I will be looking at.
Sure, sir.
So let's do, first of all, the most important thing is that I must congratulate Srisan sir and the whole organization that we started this wonderful, wonderful series. Because India had been a country where we used to learn so many things, but we used to pass it over to our dynasty. And what happens that many things emerged and then just collapsed in this particular system. And you have started this great yagna, and this is of sharing of best practices. What else could have been a better thing than this? And I think with we people who are experienced in this, we will be able to empower the next generation of teachers. And I can assure you, when they will learn and they will listen about these best practices from we veterans, they will be better performers than us. Please remember, I'm telling all those who are attending, they will be better than us. Only thing is imbibe. That is important, and don't compare yourself with those whom you think he is the topper, he is the principal, he is vice principal, I am a simple teacher. No way. Just start adopting and adapting. And remember one simple thing. I have a few favorite people over here on the screen. Nirmala ma'am, Bhavik sir, Shamila ma'am. I know all of them very well. So just I will give one exercise. First of all, let's try to do this. The sound is coming. Yes, Nirmala ma'am, Bhavik sir, sound is coming. Now try with some other finger. No, nothing is happening. No, now just take the help of this small finger and now try. Yes, sound started coming. So what do you learn from this? You learn from this that if things are not in your favor, then try something unique. And when you try to do something unique, you need some support. And this support was of this small finger when you started putting up sound. So don't live in isolation when you have winds going against you. Just find out some support and you will start blinking, you will start shining, and you will be able to do great, great things. Now, next thing is, I will share my screen for those teachers who are just attending this workshop because their principal told that you have to attend the workshop, and they are thinking that they can't do anything because beyond them, principal is there, vice principal is there, coordinator is there, and so many people are there. So the best in education is there, best in games is there, best in coordination is there. What will they do? So I will share my screen for them and will show them one video.
The next one, sir. Next one. The last one.
Are you able to hear, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So just I will ask all the listeners, all attendees, how many of you think that you can be that loyal? Only thing is, even if you are not the wisest, if you are not the tallest, I would like to see in the chat that you are saying yes. Oh, super video, sir. I don't want. I want yes. That you must realize, yes, very nice. Haima ma'am is saying, from Chetna ma'am saying yes. Lalita madam saying yes. Me from amazing. Sheesan sir and Vasanti ma'am, see how many lions we have, and they did not realize that they are. Thinking we are not the wisest, we are not the brilliant, we are not the fastest, we are not the tallest. Nothing is required to be a great leader.
True.
Only thing is have courage. And don't you think I can? Believe in I will. There is a very big difference between I can, because there is some kind of confusion in I can, but there is no confusion in I will. So always you want to do something, say yourself I will. Amazing. Very, very nice. Thank you so much. People are still saying yes, yes, yes. I hope all 353 have said yes. Only 1 or 2 are still thinking whether I am a lion or something else. You are lion, recognize and say yes. Realize it. So let's come to some interesting things. Again, I will share my screen. So this is very important. Trying to move. Now, very important thing is that we in India, we used to believe in one simple thing, was acquisition of knowledge. why we are going to school? To acquire knowledge. And even NCERT used to think that, yes, it's important that acquire knowledge is good enough. After that, NCERT started thinking about construction of knowledge. Now everybody is thinking of construction of knowledge and having certain kind of capacity building programs and competencies. But I go beyond that. I said, not only they should be able to apply knowledge, but they should be courageous enough, bold enough to create knowledge. And here comes the whole process. So whatever small things I will tell, I will not tell big things, not big words. I will tell you small things. And these small things can change the whole education system. So instead of sharing the screen, just this is my master screen. And second slide is this, what 2025 we are going to see. I will share with you live what small things we can do. Now I will start with first best practice. Most of our children have a problem and parents have a problem that our children don't have a good vocabulary. So I started in my school a system of password. Every classes, every section was having their own password and they used to choose among themselves. So suppose there is 5th C, 5th D, all of them will have a separate password and this password will be confidential to that class only. Every day, one child was given an opportunity that you will pick up the password of the day. You will explain it in the classroom. So any child who is going out to drink water or or going to toilet, when coming back, he has to tell what is the password and he has to use it in sentence. So in every class, the same password was being used more than 30 to 40 times. And it was very clear to all children how much what is the password, and all different classes were having different passwords. And very interesting was that everybody was told to keep it confidential. And principal, vice principal, anybody is moving from here to there was asking, okay, what's your password? Only principal was allowed to ask about the password. Otherwise, these children will tell among themselves, and they used to prepare beautiful passwords. And I came across, day before yesterday, I was in a conference where I was given a farewell. So there, the Science India Forum person said, sir, I am having some Arabic students. It was very difficult for me to teach them vocabulary, and I started the system. So in 30 days, children were remembering 30 words, and that is too good. And very simple is that they were also knowing that what is the use of word, because whenever they are going out and coming back in the classroom, they need to make a sentence. So when so many revision of one particular word is going inside the classroom, amazing. Now coming to second. In most of the workshops, I tell this thing and people like it. And I will take the consent of Deepali ma'am here, Deepali Mishra ma'am. Deepali ma'am, whenever we go inside the classroom, it's a class 4, class 5, class 6, we will find that there are different type of students. And when there are different type of students, I consider them different batteries. There are few batteries who are fully charged. There are few batteries which are half charged. And there are few batteries which are not charged at all. So whenever you go inside the classroom, your first thing of your lesson plan should be to connect these batteries and to create that kind of current inside the classroom. So everybody is ready to accept. How to do it? In my workshops, Nirmala ma'am knows it very well. In my workshops, I say, aha. And then everybody used to say, oh. If I say, aha, everybody says, oh, ho. If I say shakalaka, they said, boom, boom. Niki, niki, chung. So many words I have made. So when my teacher is going inside the classroom and is asking, aha, everybody is saying, oh, ho, in a louder voice. But there are 2, 3 who was not telling. Again, second time is asked, aha, then they are also telling, now your class is charged. And when your class is charged, they are ready to receive. They are ready to receive everything. And when they are ready to receive everything, you can tell them what to do. And this is exactly, and I know in few states, 2, 3 states where through government, I did this exercise in their classrooms, they have started doing aha, oho. So it is interesting thing, anything you can pick up. And whenever I conduct various kind of workshops with principals, Principal will start telling before I tell, sir, what is the buzzword this time? Aha, oho, chika chika, boom boom, or something else. So that is one very interesting thing is required in the classroom. Let me check here. So I'm asking all the viewers, all the attendees, aha, AHA, and you have to write OHO. Yeah, so OHO started coming. Yes, very nice. Sonam ma'am.
Some of us can even say the OHO.
Oh, yeah. Very nice. Hi, ma'am. See, what energy, ma'am? See the speed of OHO.
Yes.
Charged. This is energy level. So those people or those students in this particular class who were thinking that we will switch on our video or we will hide our video and we'll do some other work, had to write OHO. And when everything is charged, it's very important.
True.
Now, third thing is, this is most important. That is how you reflect and how you connect in the classroom. Now, whenever I'm telling you very interesting thing, and when I discussed it in one of the conference with British schools only, these were British schools only. There were around 70 British schools and around 600 teachers. I said, whatever you are teaching in the classroom, if you think that whatever you are teaching, same way child is understanding, then you are wrong. You need to confirm that whatever you are teaching, same way child is understanding. After confirming only, then you can reflect whether you are a good teacher or you are teaching correctly, or there is some problem in your teaching, how you have to improve. Before you want that your receivers, your children are understanding properly. And sometimes we ask very ambiguous questions. I think last month I was having having a conversation with the ministry. And there I said, it's very important that whatever we teach, we should confirm what children are understanding. Sometimes we feel that we misfed them. So the minister asked, what do you mean by this, Mr. Sharma? I said, sir, in one classroom, one teacher called one child, come here, come in front of the blackboard. And this teacher asked this particular child, okay, tell me how many kidneys we have. And this child said 4. Teacher said, go out of the class. Child said, ma'am, please listen to me. You asked me how many kidneys we means you and I. You did not ask me how many kidneys you have or how many kidneys I have. So 4 kidneys. So sometimes it's necessary that whenever you are teaching, you should know that you are not asking something ambiguous or you are not teaching something ambiguous, because you will think I am the master of the subject and whatever I will teach, child will understand. Not necessarily. When you will ask them, that children will give different kind of versions. And when there are different kind of versions, it becomes very difficult. So how to do it? Everybody is talking about evaluation. I am against evaluation. I'm too much into assessment, and that too the diagnostic assessment.
True.
We can't make a child perfect. I'm not perfect. I'm learning continuously. Vasanta ma'am knows that, and Bhavik sir knows that every year I really go for one of the course for 3 months or 4 months on MOOC. Maybe it is from Harvard University, maybe it is from Coursera or whatever it is. But I make it sure that I should not be stagnated. And if I'm not stagnated, I'm a student and I'm still a student, I can learn so many things. So basic idea is this, that in diagnostic, it is very important that whenever you are teaching, like in my school, I have a Birla Bay Bridge. So when my teachers are teaching one particular topic, they are preparing objective type of questions. Teachers are preparing objective type of questions. And they are asking those questions after this particular topic, and they will get to know what is the answer, which answer is wrong, which topic is not covered properly, which part is not covered properly. Yeah. Now this year, you should not follow same thing continuously. Now this year, things have changed. What happened? That even board paper will be on the basis of objective type of question. So I told my children that students, you also will have to prepare one question every day. Earlier, I was having a project Eureka, in which class 11th and 12th used to bring one question every day on physics, chemistry, and maths, and used to drop it in a box. And this used to be an objective type of question who was preparing for the NEET examination or IIT examination. They were dropping. Any child who was not bringing, he was also dropping one chit. He used to write, God bless me. So if he's writing 2 times, God bless me, 3rd time he's preparing a question. Then I used to give best question award as a Parker pen, and children were knowing that whosoever is getting Parker pen of the month in subject is going into NEET or IIT. That boosted their confidence. What was the strategy behind that? Very simple is that, Vasanti ma'am, that if you know how to tie the knot, you know how to open it.
Correct.
This means when you are preparing a question, you know how to put a trick. Then you will be able to identify the trick. And I called it Project Eureka. I started now it in all the classes. That children will also prepare question and will bring it to students. Objective type of questions children are preparing. And they are bringing it to teacher, and then teacher is putting it in one platform where students are practicing continuously. So children are knowing how to put the trick, and they will be able to open the trick. And our school is doing very good in PISA examinations because of that particular reason. Now, beyond diagnosis, I am working with Royal Society on prognosis. This is again interesting thing. So Vasanti ma'am, whenever you go to a doctor and you asked that doctor, sir, I have some problem. So some problem, then what problem? You will say, I have a fever. I have fever, temperature. So doctor will give you some kind of medicine, correct? This medicine will be for what? To reduce your temperature, correct? But this is not enough. Doctor will give you something so that can reduce the acidity. Some multivitamins will also be given. This means in prognosis, not only fever, because of that, whatever side effects are coming up, those are also being treated. Same is in education. If child is having a problem and you are solving the problem of that questionnaire, you are thinking over. No. After understanding that particular solution of the problem, child might have 2 more problems.
True.
These 2 problems you must check. You must foresight. You must foresee that what 2 questions may come because of resolving this particular problem or this particular question. This is called prognosis. So same concept is required in education, where observation is very important. Most of my workshops and webinars used to be on observation, as I told you. Like in that particular ministry meeting only, I was talking about observation. They said, Mr. Sharma, you talk about observation so many times. Why it is important? I shown them a slip. So this is a slip. I want all the attendees to write what is it. Just try to see the slip. Try to write what is this. Try. But anyhow, there were 5-6 people. By the time you are writing, I will let you know. So I took out one slip and shown it to them that what is this? So one person said it looks like a prescription, doctor's prescription. Second one said it looks like something, maybe the bill, I think shop bill. Third one said, I think it is something related to your list, whichever you want to bring from mall or something. So the chairman said, Mr. Sharma, tell me. I said, sir, if you want to reply, you can also reply. So he said, Mr. Sharma, it seems you prepared a notes. You prepared a notes that what kind of questions will be asked. I said, see, now this is prejudice, sir. We are prejudiced. Why we are prejudiced? This first person who is telling that this may be a prescription, somebody in his house is ill. That person said, yes, Mr. Sharma, that is true. Second one, I said, he is telling about that this is bill. So maybe that some kind of thing has been given to, or some list has been given to him by his wife, which he has to purchase. So his prejudiced mind is that bill. Third one, I could not answer. I'm agreeing because he said, no. I was thinking, I was confused between Corona and all. Then chairman said, Mr. Sharma, tell me about why did I say this chit? I said, you also, sir, brought a chit somewhere, which you want, with the kind of questions you want to ask me. And he laughed. And he took out his slip and said, yes, Mr. Sharma, this is it. And what was it? It was an ATM slip. My slip was an ATM slip. So the basic thing is, Jaki rahi bhavna jaisi, ta prabhu murati dekhi taisi. This means in class also, if you are telling or you are explaining one concept, there are different children who are taking different kind of inference out of that. So it is necessary that you must reach out to that inference which you want to send it to children. So try to check out with the peer learning, try to check out After asking question that what you want to teach is actually reaching children. And in this process, when do you set ready? Suppose say somebody is preparing for Olympic. Will he be participating in Olympic every month? No, Olympic will be after 5 years. Similarly, we give so many unit tests and we give marks. That's all. We don't see that this is not that. This is all these tests are formative assessment, and these tests are kind of a diagnosis, just like a patient is coming to, or a person, healthy person is coming for the health checkup, and somebody is checking, this is the problem, diabetes, this side, this is this side, this is all the scans are being done. So this is, and then try to make this child perfect and then evaluate. You can't evaluate initially. And basically, in every school, please tell your children, have pride about your school, have pride about your teachers, and do not listen anything against your school and against your teachers and tell it to parents. I told parents felt, sir, sometimes when teacher is not behaving properly, and then what to do? I said, teacher is also human being. But please remember, whenever you will talk negative about school or teacher, child will have a negative concept in his mind. It is just like this, that you are taking one of your closest relative to a doctor and telling that I am not confident about this particular doctor, may kill you. Same thing is this, that when you are telling that I am not having confidence on this teacher or school, how this child will learn? Not possible. And all the parents agreed, yes, sir, you are very correct and we will follow this. Next is very important. In class 1, I observed, in class KG, I observed that whenever the parents were coming to take the report card, my teachers and in charges used to give them, okay, A child has got 2 medals, B child has got 3 medals, C child has got 1 certificate, 2 medals, 1 prize. Then I saw one husband-wife fighting. I observed that husband is telling wife, see, Suman has got 2 medals. See, Jagrati has got 3 medals. See, Vasanti has got 5 medals. And this useless fellow has not got any medal. This is all because of you. Husband is telling wife, this is all because of you. Then and there I said that what kind of foundation we are giving to students. Very bad. At this level, if we are giving this foundation, then it is not correct at all. So what I did, in KG1, KG2, we have KG1, KG2, you have LKG, UKG or nursery KG. In KG1, KG2 and class 1, I give prize to each and every student and same prize. And on this prize, it is written, I am a winner. Yes. So every child gets a prize. So his foundation is very strong. I am a winner, I am a winner, I am a winner. For 3 years, he has this determination that I am a winner. Now throughout his life, sometimes if there will be a hollow brick, sometimes there will be a strong brick, but foundation was good. His character will be great. No doubt, nobody will make him weak. Do that. And one thing which I started for children, that has been picked up by parents. I tell my children early in the morning, when you get up and you come to school, go in front of mirror, hold your tie, push your tie, pull your tie and say, I am the best. So first day, second day, third day, children said, but I am the best means, sir, this is not superiority complex. I said, no, this is just like you are the best version of yourself. This means every day you are trying to be a better version of yourself, like iPhone 1, 2, 3, 4, 13, 14 iPhone. So you are like Bhavish sir, 12, Bhavish sir 13, Bhavish sir 14, Bhavish sir 15. So your competition is with yourself. One more interesting example I tell you. I did the experiment with class 5. I told all my children that tomorrow early in the morning when you get up, you hug your mom and tell mom you are the best mom. And don't disclose that principal sir has told it. Same thing happened. I asked these children, what happened, children? These children said, sir, it was very good. My mama started crying and she said, beta, what kind of breakfast you want? Earlier, she was compelling me for different kind of breakfast, which I don't like or which I like. Now I got wonderful breakfast. After 3 days, I asked again, what is the change? They said, sir, we did not disclose, but one good thing has happened. My father have started coming to wake me up. And he was telling my mother, why only you are getting the hug? I will also get the hug. I said, this is very good. So we are having a positive energy in the morning. Then after 3 days, I asked one more person, what happened? This child said, sir, today there was very interesting conversation at my home. What happened? My father is a doctor. So he was telling, I think something has happened with our child. All of a sudden, he is telling, you are the best mom, you are the best dad, hugging and all, some kind of psychological problem. Let me ask my friend. He asked his another friend who is a doctor. He said, no, same thing is happening in my home also. Then they said, some problem. Then they called principal. They called me, what is happening? I said, everybody is doing it. How do you feel? They said, sir, it is amazing idea. Early in the morning, I'm also getting up early in the morning to have that hug from my child. And this is a competition between me and my wife. So we have divided different days. And child is very happy. Otherwise, what happens? When the child is coming, most of the mothers are putting some kind of rolls in his mouth because he could not, they are running after him. I said, no breakfast at home. There will be compulsory breakfast in the school. So in school, when they reach, there are 15 minutes in which every child has to do breakfast in front of teacher. So parents are very happy till class 5. Class 12 parents came to me. Sir, please make it for class 12 also. I made it from class KG to class 12, first 10 to 15 minutes breakfast in the school compulsory. And what happened? Everybody was happy and they were telling, sir, 60% of students were not taking breakfast early in the morning properly. So these are small things, but you can do amazing things with that.
Sure.
Then design thinking, I'm an expert, but ma'am has told many things about design thinking. One thing I would like to say, design thinking is an aspect which gives you an idea, of thinking outside the box. How can you think outside the box when you do not have prejudices? Now, right now, I will ask you a question and please answer honestly. Answer honestly, what is the first word come to your mind? A for?
Apple.
Apple. This means 99% people will say apple. Z for?
Zebra.
Zebra. So, Vasanti ma'am, it is feeded in our mind. We can't think beyond. And I went to one particular class. I asked children, make apple. So few children made apple, green, red, and 80% children made Apple phone. But they are exposed to Apple phone. Now, I prepared I did one very interesting exercise, Vasanti ma'am. Do I have 5 minutes?
Srisan sir, I think we can take a 5 minutes, sir, after which Manju will come in. Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is very interesting thing that in class 1 itself, class KG itself, give them observation thinking. I made a small something like a cloud, and I asked children, what is this? So I told them that just tell it to me only, not openly. So few children said, sir, this is cloud. Few children said, sir, this is popcorn. Few children said, sir, this is ice cream. Few children said, sir, this is something like cotton. I said, now tell who is saying cotton, why it is cotton. Few children explained. Tell why it is ice cream. Few children explained. Then I said, again, voting. We did voting and we found out now only 2 alternates were left. And finally, it was done 3rd time. Then only one observation was left. And this was that this is cotton. However, I made it like a cloud. But what was the complete observation of the class? What was the learning in this class? The learning in this class was that these children were able to disagree with themselves. Absolutely. These children were able to learn from others. These children were knowing we are not every time correct. And also very democratically, whole class finally concluded this is cotton. This is beautiful learning, which you can give right from KG. Right from class 1, and please involve them of certain kind of practices. And last sentence is create their anecdotal record. Please ask what child father is doing, what child's mother is doing, what kind of vehicle child is having at home, what kind of entertainment he is having. Does he has grandfather, grandmother? what kind of toys he is having, what kind of games he plays, what kind of foods he eats. Is there somebody who is unwell at the home? If you will get the complete anecdotal of record of a child, you will get to know why child is disturbed, why child is doing good, why child sometimes is not doing good, and then you will be able to teach and every child individually, because every child is unique. Like all 350 people who are listening me are unique. All of them have ability to become lion. And I'm telling you, all you 350 are going to be better than 3 of us who are CBSE awardee, national awardee, state awardee, UNESCO awardee, whosoever we are. You will be better than us if you think that you have learned something today. And if you have learned something today, you must believe there is a lion. There is a lion in you, and try to realize that lion, try to identify that lion. Thank you very much, Vasanti ma'am, and thank you, Shrivan sir.
Thank you, Sharma ji. I have no words to say, but then I think the takeaways are like, a bag full of gold coins, which we cannot carry, so heavy in the head, studded with very unique gems of ideas. And at this time of the evening when we are sipping, I'm thinking of, I use a lot of acronyms. And for me, the S is that your ideas are simple. The I is that the impact is far-reaching. And the P is it's very practical. Sip. When you sip your tea, please think of Sharmaji in future, that the ideas he gave us were simple, impactful, and practical. And I've just noted on the list because it's like a long list. I think you need to give us this presentation. You have spoken, and I tried to note down, but they're awesome in terms of starting from involving. The whole thing is experiential, sir, first of all. All of us had experienced the whole program with you today. And many number, if you talk about involving an audience, which you did, and a lot of
Vasanti
unique
ma'am,
things.
just check how many have become lion. Please, all those who think there are lion, just write L. Just
There
write
are 348 people, and I think all are going to write the L's now. Sir.
L started coming.
Everybody has become one. Yes, sir.
Great.
Thanks to you.
So salute to all of you.
Yes, sir. A big salute to you. A big salute to you, and a big round of applause for Sharma ji.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm a student.
We must do a prognosis now, sir, because there's a lot of emotion. There's a lot of emotion that has happened. We're all winners, we feel today, because of the reinforcement you have given to us. And I think the mirror, the auto suggestion, the best mom, the breakfast at school, design thinking, very simple, sir, but impactful, like I said. Now, every time we have that sip of tea, we will remember SIP of Sharmaji. Thank you so much. We are truly grateful to you. I wish we had more time. We are caught up on time because we started at 4:30 and the audience has been very patient. But every minute has been worth our time with you, sir. Thank you. We look forward to you coming back to share many more of such thoughts, gems with us. Thank you, sir. Truly grateful.
Thank you, Vasanti ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Srisan, sir, I would like to, with your permission, move on to the...
Now this is the element of fire.
Yes, sir, because I finally go on to the icing on the cake, I say. The entire icing and decoration and cake comes from our third panelist, a very dynamic person, very personally known to me, is Manju Balasubramaniam, Principal DPS Bangalore North, who can be defined as a lifelong learner, in the true sense of the word. She's a technology enthusiast, a passionate teacher. She's won many awards, National Award to Teachers, Mentor Award from CBSE. She's been a Fulbright Distinguished Award in Teaching awardee, many more awards which are very natural to reach Manju. And I quote Manju in her presentation when she says, every day is filled with new possibilities and opportunities. I find myself exploring newer areas. This is Manju talking. A voracious reader enjoying reading, traveling to all corners, a firm believer of inclusion. She believes that diversity enriches the world. And to quote Manju, as an educator, I feel blessed to be in the 21st century, privileged to be an active contributor, preparing our children for the fourth industrial age. And the words that Manju further uses are balancing scientific progress with ethics, morals, and values, enabling children to make informed choices. A die-hard optimist, I'm certain that with unconditional love, faith, and trust, we as teachers can raise a generation of learners who would be sensitive to the needs of others. So it is wonderful that we are going to come to the last part with this very powerful personality whom I know. A joie de vivre, living life to the full, is this beautiful young lady, grandmother. You have to believe those words when I say that. And she's that very passionate grandmother at that, coming to all our training programs, being there all the time with us. Manju, over to you. No more time of mine. It's yours now. Take over, dear.
Her smile is the best among all three.
Absolutely.
All three of us.
Thank you so much, Vasanti ma'am. Good evening to everyone. Good evening to the extremely distinguished members of the panel, my seniors, my gurus. I feel so honored and so humbled to be sharing stage with Sudarshan Rao sir, Vasanti ma'am, Amita ma'am, and Sharma sir. They've all been my mentors in my journey. And I am what I am to a very, very large extent because of them. They have, the one thing that I have learned from all of them, and which I would like all the principals in this group to keep in mind, is to be selfless people, to identify talent, no matter what age, and to promote excellence wherever they see it. Very often leadership can become extremely self-centered, and one feels that let the others reinvent the wheel because we've struggled. But in all four of them, I have seen this heart that gives unconditionally, and is always willing to embrace everyone who has a passion. So thank you for having me here. After such illuminary speakers, I have put my presentation into the back burner because I just want to connect with what each and everyone said. And I'm going to start with Vasanti ma'am when she said Sharma sir's session was SIP, right? For me, if all of us were to, put into practice every single thing that Sharma sir said, we would be in a systematic investment program for life. We put into SIPs a lot of things. I think we would be such empowered human beings if we were to put that into practice, not just teachers or leadership. I also wanted to connect with Amita ma'am when she said, turn every practice in your school into a best practice. Be your own storyteller, be your own narrative, and let that narrative be scalable. Let it be something that others can hear from and see from and turn into better models of yourselves, And so I want to narrate this instance when I applied for the national award. We have to go through the CBSE format. So I went through CBSE, and CBSE wanted a principal who was a teacher. And they said, at the heart of the core of the whole process is a principal who remains a teacher. And that is something that I want to share as a best practice from DPS Bangalore North, that all of us in leadership believe that we need to be role models. You need to be a role model for your team. If you wish to be, you expect something out of them. So all of us in leadership teach. And so when I went to the national awards, I spoke about biology teaching grade 11 and 12. And they were extremely skeptical. They were not very sure if I was telling the truth. So from the curriculum to the subjects to the assessment patterns, they asked me questions on everything. And they also asked me something about the brain. And after my answers, they said, okay, this is a good example of a principal teaching. And this is something we will remember from our talk. And I also brought about how I teach the subject differently rather than from teaching from the textbook. which is what Sudarshan sir said in the beginning, that can we be schools that move away from the textbook and move away from the confines of the classroom and be schools that are barrier free. When we speak about barrier free, we imagine only school structures in terms of, children with special needs. But I'm saying, can we remove the boundaries? Can we be equitable, where we just remove the barrier so that the community can come in and we can go into the community and the school space becomes a learning space? And that is what we have done at DPS Bangalore North. We believe learning never stops. Learning can happen from within yourself when you're introspective. It can happen from people around you. It can happen from the environment around you. It can happen from everything around you. And so please create the opportunities that allow for your children to experience the world in the 15 years that they are with you in school. So when they move out into the adult world, they say, hey, that is something that I saw in school. This is something I experienced in school. This is something I did in school. And therefore, they are better human beings for the future. When I went for the national awards from CBSE, there were 800 people and 200 people had been shortlisted for the final round. And there were other biology teachers with me. And like Amita ma'am said, I had this one chance to turn the narrative, to make what we were doing at the school. And this award that we got was not for us. It was for our schools because we were representing our schools. And I said, there can be a very good biology teacher from anywhere in the world. But what is it about my school that I can take? And so I turned the narrative. When I spoke at CBSE, it was biology with inclusion as a part. When I went to the national awards, it became inclusion at DPS Bangalore North with biology as a part. That turned the tables. It showed the space that we were coming in from, a space that actually celebrates diversity, that respects differences, that is accepting of everyone no matter what, and which believed in a strength-based approach. At DPS Bangalore North, we believe that, like Sharma sir said, each one of us is unique. We have to be the best versions of ourselves. That only happens when your self-esteem is high, when you believe in yourself and you're willing to see the goodness and the strength in the other. And that is the narrative that we took. Today, we are a school with 7,500 children and 700 of them are special needs. And this comes because of a mindset of empathy, compassion, care, love, unconditional trust and faith, not only amongst ourselves as teachers and students, but amongst the stakeholders. We believe that if our parents have entrusted their most valuable thing, that is their child in us, then it is our duty to do what we are doing. We believe that schools are spaces of learning, and this should be for everybody, not only for students, but for teachers. Teachers need to be lifelong learners. They need to learn from every child. And again, Sharmaji spoke about the incidents of A, B, C, D, apple and zebra. My 3-year-old grandson says ambulance and zeppelin. And that's the ABC I've learned now. And I tell my teachers, can we have these YouTube rhymes that are different in phonics rather than ant on the apple? Because today's kids know so much more. So can we learn? And at this point, I want to say one of the best practices that I take from my management is to bring diversity in the learning that you bring. So on our campus, we do CBSE, we do open schooling, that is national open schooling, and we have a separate branch for the Cambridge curriculum. So when you allow for different curricula, you bring in the best practices of everything. You ensure that every child is in school and no child is left behind. And the NIOS is one of the strongest proponents of ensuring that children are in schooling and they complete schooling with dignity. The flexibility of the NIOS is something that is unparalleled in the world. And I would here use this platform to request all school principals here to have an NIOS stream in your school, because that will ensure that children stay and complete school with great dignity and great pride. when I spoke about best practices on trust and faith, we believe that take people for who they are. Believe in them. In our school, we never have to give a reason as to why we need leave. People just ask. And I want to tell people that when you have that kind of a trust, people only take it when the requirement is dire. We have never asked people to say, submit a ticket or a travel plan or a document. That is later on for official purposes, if there is some reimbursement to be done or a medical facility to be gathered. And I think when you have that kind of a trust, that kind of magnifies in productivity. And this is something that we learn from our management. Leadership is trickle down. It starts from the top. When you give your teams the freedom to do their best automatically happens. And leadership is not only at the management level or the principal or the coordinators or the HODs, it's even at students. And one of our best practices is our student-led programs, whether it is community service, whether it is environmental awareness, whether it is inclusion, to say that we want a head boy to head the school who's wheelchair bound, or to allow for a position to be created for a person with disability, or for a young person to say, my sexual orientation is different and I would like to wear trousers to school, and that person wears trousers and comes to school. If for a team of children to say, I suffer from depression and anxiety and I need to go to my counselor to speak about, I think that is a best practice for DPS Bangalore North, where children are free to speak about their fears and failures. Where as a team, the team comes together to celebrate failure. Say, can we work together? And I think Sudarshan sir spoke about it, about the school coming together as a community to help one another. And Sharmaji's story about the finger. Ask for support, take support. And this has again been one of our journeys in inclusion. When people speak about inclusion, people have an attitudinal barrier. They believe inclusion is difficult. We don't have the resources, we don't have the manpower, we don't have the wherewithal to bring children with special needs into the school. And I believe when your heart is invested, the community chips in, whether it is Spastic Society of Karnataka, the Chandrasekhar Institute of Speech and Learning, Babel Center for Autism, NIPSID, NCRT, CBSE, NIMHANS, WIMHANS. We've had the unconditional support of people to say, you open the doors for your children and we will make it possible. In terms of teacher training, resource, setting up a resource center. When you do that, you also become innovative. So we brought in the Atal. We were amongst the first 50 schools in the country to bring the Atal. And when you have a vision and the school looks at the entire community has that vision, my children started working on projects on disability, wheelchairs that was run by sensors, glasses that the blind could use, a walking stick that was which could enable better movement, a chess game that the blind could play. Brilliant things that we had not imagined. Now, that is what, again, all speakers spoke about design thinking. Design thinking is when you plan, when you innovate, when you create something with everybody in mind. And when you have a design thinking mindset, then whatever you create is universal design, whether it is infrastructure, whether it is curriculum and differentiated learning that Vasanthi ma'am is an expert at, or whether it is bringing scholastic and co-scholastic when you're looking at assessments in different ways. Everything is universal design. And design thinking and universal design and learning have empathy at their core. And I think that is one of the most beautiful human emotions that can strengthen any workspace. And for me, it is, my heart swells with pride when outsiders, when people like Rukmini Krishnaswamy, who heads Spastic Society of Karnataka, or Divyanshu Ganatra, who's India's first visually impaired person, when they walk into my school and they say, Manju, every single teacher in your school leads from the heart. And every child of yours is steeped in empathy. Without knowing, they know how to lead the blind. Without asking, they know how to support someone who has hearing impairment. Without being nasty, they embrace a child with autism who could be extremely troublesome. I would be really letting a stakeholder go if I didn't talk about parents at DPS Bangalore North. They are our best as well. When a school cannot be so inclusive if the parent community does not chip in. And they come in and help us at everything. This afternoon, I had a conversation about a couple of parents asking me, should we really send our children into school in the pandemic? We are still not comfortable. And when I said the choice is yours, but we will not leave that child disadvantaged. We might not be able to give the best synchronous online class, but we will surely ensure that what was learned in school will be retained. And the response that came back from the parent was, ma'am, if we were to send our children, can we come in as invigilators as well, so that we can help you take more children in the school with greater social distancing, and we know you don't have enough teachers. And I think that is another practice that I would like to share here on the program. Sustainability. Sudarshan sir spoke about sustainability. And we are very proud to say that we are a green school, whether it is the plastic mixed road that we have or the solar power that generates everything on the school, to a sewage treatment plant, to biofuels in the kitchen. And how do you know that the learning outcome has been met? Everything around schools is, have your children taken it back into their adult life? When students who have passed out of the school finish their law from NLS and go into social work. When students of yours who are in first year degree represent the country in the United Nations on sustainability. When a student of yours who was extremely quiet and never spoke up comes up with this big oyster that is made up of single-use plastic and says, ma'am, this is what I learned in school. When you have a 7-year-old say, I will scribe for my friend who's in 4th standard and cannot write, that is best practice. When the CBSE recognizes us and when the nation recognizes us for the work that we do, that is best practice. When we have platforms like this to share everything that we do, that is best practice. There was a talk about RED, research, evaluation, and D was for, what was that, ma'am? That Amita ma'am spoke about, design thinking.
Yes.
And I think we pride ourselves
documentation
on being first mover in terms of this process. When we embarked on the NABIT program, the CBSE now has the score. We were the first DPS to be NABIT accredited, and which means that this is a school that learns, and every stakeholder. There were people who joined the school as support staff with no education. Today they have a bachelor's degree. There were people in the housekeeping staff who had no idea about menstrual hygiene. And the students of the school, boys and girls, empowered them to take up sustainable practices in all the neighboring villages of Satanur and Bagalur. When students of ours went into projects with Reap Benefit and reached out to state government schools and said, if you don't have water for your urinals, can we build waterless urinals together? Can we try that out on our drivers first before we set it out into the market? Can we, when we talk about science and technology, and when we talk about ICT, can we talk about ethics and moratorium? Can we talk about values that are core to us, that technology or ICT can never take over? Can we talk about our humanness? Can we talk about interdependence? Can we talk about love, compassion, peace, and brotherhood. Thank you, ma'am.
Manju, as usual, you rock, but I must put it in different words. Not there to give you a big hug, which I normally do.
I can feel it, ma'am.
Yes.
And for the benefit of all those who are here today, Vasanthi, ma'am, I always believe she is the youngest person amongst all of us. She is the person who is the most energetic, the most passionate, and someone who wants to learn all the time. And I am, whatever I am in inclusion, because of her to a very great extent. She pushed me into the Fulbright program at a notice of 6 days. And in those 6 days, at 12:30 and 1:30 in the night, when I shared my draft, she would sit with me, read it, and make changes. And she ensured that I made it to the Fulbright. So thank you, ma'am. Amita, ma'am, thank you for recognizing me at the various CBSE programs that we've gone to. You know, I always felt handpicked. And that's because you trusted and believed in me and my team. Sudarshan sir, you guided me when you were the RO in so many ways, and you continued. And I think the biggest thing that I learned from you is humility. For who you were always very humble, and you continue to connect with us. Sharma sir, I have never worked personally with you, but you made my day today. And every single example that you gave resonated with what we do at DPS Bangalore North. And thank you for being who you are. Thank you.
Thank you, Manju, for speaking from your heart as usual. Very sincere, very committed. And I like the way you quickly made that systematic investment program, because it was simply not one SIP that you just brought off your head. It was again from the heart, because whatever you do in DPS North, as I could see, it is systematic. There's heavy investment on the child, every child. Every child is a heavy investment in whatever you do in your programs. And when you talk about that scalable narrative, I've seen all of it happening. You are a leader who walks the talk. And when you say that if innovation has to happen anywhere, you need 3 F's to be remembered. The freedom, without which you cannot think of creativity. You need a focus, and finally the fortitude, the belief that I can do it. Every space, I think, in your school is a learning space. And it's not all about academics, though your academics are outstanding in terms of your results. But what matters is the empathy, the compassion, the care, the love, accepting all. Including, I know that school leader of yours, the school head boy, was a challenged child and was elected, unanimously as school leader. Shows the acceptance level. I've seen all of that. You are the champion of champions of all the children, because you walk that talk with passion. And we're truly fortunate that you're here. And I think this program is going to have huge ripple effects on a lot of people, Manju, because of the passion with which you spoke about taking care of every child. It's wonderful. So as we close this program, I try to bring in that biblical story of the gift of the Magi. When the Christ was ready to be born, the 3 kings came in. It's called the gift of the Magi. And they brought 3 great gifts for this child of God. 3 people today have brought in the gifts for us. Plenty of takeaways. And we want to thank everybody for that. Sir told me I should speak about a best practice of my school, which I'll do later. I only want to add that this term which we use as Vande Gurum in this forum, as well as in every forum of CEIR, is a very simple term we coined at Shishya School First. We greet everyone with Vande Gurum. We bow down before learning, and we believe that, like the Shankaracharya said, there is no Guru and there is no Shishya. As long as both are willing to learn, you bow down and say Vande Gurum. So teachers in my school bow down and say Vande Gurum. Children say Vande Gurum to us, and it's a mutual learning that happens all the time. This is one thing I was so happy when CEIR took it up and said, we want to use Vande Gurum here. And I loved the way the song came in the prayer. I'm using that song now for my school. So learning is a never-ending journey. So cyclical, so much of sharing. Wonderful work has happened today. Lovely start in the pre-Diwali The fireworks have begun. We've all set the stage on fire. We should go ahead. So let us all thank the Almighty for giving us opportunities to come together. Take care, everybody. I request Srisan sir to take over.
Yeah. I'm due to usually we maintain the timing. Today we couldn't do it because it was
Outburst.
first session. Very sorry for that, but many stayed back and listened to the wisdom. So that's the reason we named it as wisdom.
Yes, sir.
And we have identified the right person to
Yes.
monitor this entire program. Our
More than-
dearest and respectful Vasanthi ma'am.
No, sir, the three gems who came in are the right gems today.
Correct. And Sharma sir, I have no words to say. He's a father figure to me, and he is associated with he comes up with some bright ideas, and of course Amita ma'am, and our the last Manju ma'am. Manju ma'am, I tell you, because we are seriously looking for a resource person with national award. I sent a message to our core group. Suddenly, Malla ma'am called up and said, I have a person with me. So she suggested you. Immediately after that, we didn't have any this thing because, and thanks for your fiery speech. The moment I saw the profile of people, I made it very clear, the mentor belonged to the earth because she is the moderator also. So she represented the earth element. Then Amita ma'am came, she represented the water element. You would have seen the background, water flowing. Then, of course, my dearest Sharma sir came, it was the space element. Now, madam came, it was the fire element. So I think, there's some significance in our life. And dear all, I have a very humble request. Everybody today talked about best practices. It is only possible with proper mindfulness. Do attend this. I am getting a lot of good feedbacks. There is no payment, nothing. Every day it is for 15 minutes. Sunday we do it for 30 minutes. The same link which you have used, please use it. I am telling you, I personally experienced this 15 minutes have drastically changed my life. I am not talking about in terms of wealth or anything, but inner happiness. So please do attend this. This is the reward you can give to us, the CEIR family. Many people voluntarily working here. It's a trust. It's not a business concern or anything. We all are contributing, and this is the best thing. If you do this mindful way, all your activities, personal or professional activities, that will reflect. That will be perfect. This is my humble request to all the participants. Please do attend this every day. Make this as a habit. And again, we will meet, the feedback form will be shared. And sorry, again, once again, that this time we extended little time, because you cannot stop knowledge in between. It has to flow. So thank you everyone. And next Saturday, we will come up with science project. We will discuss about a science related topic. And until we meet next, definitely we will be meeting tomorrow morning for the mindfulness session. Vande Gurum.